Cult 93 spread its tentacles everywhere. Most of the people you see on TV are part of the cult. They own the fake news. They own Hollywood. They own the swamp. Here's how they gained all the power they have using the C_A Hugh Hefner model. On the left, we have Q160. And Anon says, "You guys are missing the importance of Hugh Hefner." Think of it this way. Hugh invites over a celeb politician. Hugh offers them something younger. Hugh offers them a safe space to do it in. Hugh tapes encounter, sends tape to CIA. CIA has person by the balls for life, and Q confirms this. Moving over to the middle, we have Q3155. Q says Rachel Chandler is key, with Q3147 and the infamous security cam picture on her Instagram. And we also have Q3134, who is Rachel Chandler, Q. And Q1054. Look up Ray.Chandler, and we know from part 1 we get 93 from this. And moving over to the right, we have all the areas where Cult 93 has spread its tentacles, which includes the Vatican, the DC swamp, the wealthy, the powerful, Hollywood, royalty, and entertainment, art, and media. Decoded message. Q1054. Who is Ray.Chandler? Answer. Any asset sent by 93 to persons of interest in order to create the conditions that will allow the collection of compromising material. This is how 93 has taken control of the Vatican, royalty, politicians, governments, the media, the entertainment industry, and any entity where there's significant wealth and/or power. The game is simple. 93 first gets the compromising material on you, then you get what you want. Global power through blackmail. This is the cult the Maestro is taking down. This is the reason 93 is coded in the transcripts. As we can see here, 93 is coded in the timestamps of both transcripts. On the top right here, we have a Quartz article. How many Y's are in Volodymyr Zelensky's name? Decoded message. The number 93 is coded in both transcripts through their timestamps. The official White House spelling of the Ukrainian president comes with an extra Y that the C_A fake news did not fail to catch and comment through an article published by Quartz. They know it refers to their masters, Family Y. Do you now see where the Ukraine hysteria really comes from? Ukraine was a Cult 93 bastion, and many bodies are buried there. We went through the 2 transcripts in my previous articles in the video President Zelensky shared with POTUS. Look how the Mockingbird media is panicking and secretly communicating about it through the Quartz article. So here, Cult 93 has a Zelensky problem. The capital letters from the Quartz article headline equals 81, and setup equals 81. The vertical line capital letters taken directly from the body of the article equals 173. Miss Universe equals 173. Also, there's a side note at the bottom of the article, which gives us a capital S, which will give us the value 192. It has already happened equals 192. As you already know, 192 gives us 93 by adding the 1 to the 2. If we quickly go over to the right here, we can see that there's a bit of subtext here. The capital letters are H and V. And going back over to the middle, if we take the 173 and add the 1 to the 3, we get 74. If we split that up by doing 4 times 7, we get 28. And the same thing with 192. You add the 1 to the 2, we get 93. And if we split that up and get 3 times 9, we get 27. Now the capital letters HV talked about earlier equal 30. Baby equals 30. But we also get the sequence 27, 28, and 30, with 29 missing from the sequence. 29 is the value for HRC. Decoded message. Using Quartz, the C_A fake news sends a message in plain sight to the network. Volodymyr is a problem. He's working with Trump and they are targeting a 93 network. It's a setup. There's another transcript. They have already spoken in a previous phone call where Trump mentioned Miss Universe. They talked about the babies, the crimes against children, and the trafficking. Many are targeted. It goes all the way up to HRC. Signed, 93. As you can see, the information shared makes the Quartz article extremely toxic. Whoever is connected to it has serious problems. The impeachment hoax was Cult 93 trying to gain a position of leverage and obtain to negotiate with the Maestro. Remember, that's the real quid pro quo they are looking for. When I was a kid, I had a friend who used to communicate like that. He would show up around lunchtime with his hunger, and seeing that we were watching TV, he'd ask, "How long have you been watching TV since you've had lunch?" The Maestro knew exactly what they were trying to achieve, and this is why, to respond to the list of swamp witnesses, he had a secret timeline running in parallel for us to triangulate what each witness was all about. Using the witnesses as examples, the maestro gave us a tour of the swamp. Look and try to confirm the connections through the maestro's comms in the testimonies. And here we have the secret parallel timeline, with the first one on November 13th, 2019. POTUS holds a bylot and press conference with Recep Tayyip Erdogan of Turkey. This ran in parallel with Kent and Ambassador Taylor, the 93 Brotherhood. On November 15th, POTUS addresses healthcare pricing transparency, and this ran in parallel with Ambassador Jovanovic, the blood collector. November 19th, POTUS holds a cabinet meeting, which ran in parallel with Vindman and Williams, the incompetent. November 20th, POTUS tours the Apple plant in Austin, Texas, which ran in parallel with Ambassador Sunland, the plant. And on November 21st, POTUS presents the National Medals of Arts and Humanities, which ran in parallel with Fiona Hill and David Holmes, the actors. For example, to illustrate the November 21st, 2019 actors, watch Ratcliffe mercilessly demonstrate how painful it is for an actor to forget his script.
With that, Mr. Holmes, I want to turn to you and the part of the conversation, your testimony where you said you heard President Trump say, is he going to do the investigation? And Ambassador Sondland said he's going to do it. He'll do anything you ask him to. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
What did President Trump say next?
He said, good, what about Sweden?
He said what?
Sir, sorry, I need to look at back where we are in the middle of the conversation here. Where are we from the testimony? Exactly. So then they turned to the Sweden conversation.
What did President Trump say next?
He said, good, what about Sweden?
Good, what about Sweden? Good, what about Sweden? Why isn't that in your statement?
Sir, it's not a word for word, every single word in the conversation.
But it's the most important part of the conversation.
Well, then they turned to Sweden. They turned to the other topic.
Respectfully, Mr. Holmes, this impeachment inquiry is based on the call the day before where President Trump, as part of a bribery scheme, as part of an extortion scheme, as part of a quid pro quo, according to the Democrats, demanded investigations in exchange for either military aid or a White House meeting. And the next day, you were witness to President Trump receiving word that the bribery scheme was successful, the extortion scheme was successful. And his response, was, good? What about Sweden?
Yes, sir. The Ukraine portion of that conversation was extremely brief.
What was the first thing the president said on the call? This was clear. You had a clear recollection of this conversation.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Radcliffe, please allow Mr. Holmes to answer.
Yes, sir. Sondland greeted the president.
How?
He said, He said, hello, Mr. President. I'm in Ukraine. I'm in Kyiv. And the president said, are you in Ukraine?
You think he said, I think you're in Ukraine? He said what?
He said, are you in Kyiv, Ukraine?
What did you hear President Trump say about ASAP Rocky?
I did not hear President Trump's side of the conversation about ASAP Rocky.
You said, how did we go from the conversation was very loud and his voice was recognizable to, as you say here, when the conversation shifted, I could only hear Ambassador Sondland's side of the conversation.
Yes, sir. As I've testified, the initial part of the call, Ambassador Sondland, sort of when the president came on the call, he sort of winced and held the phone away from his ear for the initial portion of the call. And then at some point in the call, he stopped doing that. And I don't know why. I don't know if he turned the volume down. I don't know if the president spoke more quietly. I don't know if he got used to the volume. I don't know what changed.
What did change? It's important. This was memorable.
I don't know, sir. It was Ambassador Sondland stopped moving the phone away from his ear. That's
what it was?
Yes.
Okay. How did the conversation end?
I only heard Ambassador Sondland's side of the conversation, sir. And at the end of the conversation, he was giving the president advice on how to deal with this ASAP Rocky situation. And he said, they should have released him on your word, and you can tell the Kardashians you tried.
Okay. So to be clear, when President Trump received word that President Zelensky had agreed to the investigations, he said, good. What about Sweden?
Yes.
Okay. When exactly did Gordon Sondland ask President Zelensky about the investigations?
I'm sorry, sir?
When did he ask about the investigations?
When did Gordon Sondland ask Zelensky about the investigations?
Yeah.
You guys, in which meeting did he raise the investigations?
Well, it was raised the day before on a call, and the next
Yes.
day, Gordon Sondland said the answer to that was
Yes, sir.
he's going to do the investigation. So when did he ask about the investigations?
My assumption is he did it in the closed-door meeting with Yermak.
Well, I don't want to...
Time of the gentleman has
I
expired.
appreciate that, but I want to make sure the record's clear that yesterday Ambassador Sondland testified that
gentleman.
the topic of conversations did not come up on that day. I yield back.
Did you see how Holmes dived into his documents and how he needed his memory refreshed about the most significant event in his career? Thank you, Ratcliffe. Let's now focus on November 20th, 2019, when the maestro toured the Apple plant in Austin. Do you remember what he said about Apple? Let's watch.
Well, I think how many bites of the apple do you get? We've gone through 500 witnesses, 2,500 subpoenas. I've let them interview my lawyers. I've let them in because I had nothing to do with Russia. Now that's come out. There was no collusion. But how many people and how many times, and this has been going on for 2.5 years. Rush Limbaugh said this.
Who's standing next to the maestro? Yes, Secretary Acosta. This is the day his resignation was announced, and Epstein is pulled into the conversation. In other words, by visiting the Apple plant the day Sondland was testifying for Shifty before exploding in his hands, the maestro was saying to Colts 93, all these shenanigans is about covering your crimes against children. I've got Epstein and I'm not negotiating with you. Get ready, I'm coming for you. How do I know? Delta between Acosta's resignation and the Apple tour, 132. This is the value for unforgivable, which is confirmed by the Apple in the original Sin. Q, 3109. Shall we play a game? Q. I'll give you 5 connections connecting 6 items. Can you find the 6th one to close the circle? Hint. Analyze the tweets posted the day the maestro visited the Apple plant. Here are the 5 connections. So here we have the challenge. Number 1 is the Photoshop picture of Trump on Rocky's body. Number 2 is Epstein. Number 3, we have July 12th, 2019. Acosta resigns. How many bites of the apple do you get? The day delta between number 3 and number 4 is 132 days. Unforgivable is 132. And number 4 is November 20th, 2019. POTUS tours Apple plant in Austin, Texas. Number 5 is on the same day and is impeachment hearings with Ambassador Sondland. And number 6 is on November 21st, 2019. Impeachment hearings. Holmes describing his ear's superpowers and how he overheard Sondland's phone conversation with POTUS in a crowded restaurant. The connections 1 to 2, seen earlier through Q 1054, 2 to 3, 2008 Epstein plea deal with Acosta, 3 to 4 is through Apple, 4 to 5 is through the date, and 5 to 6 is through the impeachment hearings. Did you find it? I'll give you another hint. Let's watch.
Back comes Tyson on the belt. Tyson with a short left hook to the head of Holyfield. A right hand by Mike Tyson to the head of Holyfield. A straight right.
The left hook got his attention, then he came back with a nice 1-2, a left hook and a right hand, and Holyfield looked like he was stunned.
But what a chin by Holyfield.
Good stiff jab. That's the jab Mike didn't have in the first fight.
What happened here?
He got bit, I think.
Evander Holyfield, look out, he's pushed right here. Above us by Tyson.
He's got bit in the ear.
Oh my goodness, he's got a bloody right ear. Holyfield bit by a dirty Mike Tyson.
I can't believe what I'm seeing. Well, first he had a parachute drop on him, now he had a heavyweight bind him. I wonder if we can get that on tape.
Biting Holyfield in the right ear. What a reaction.
Well, and that hurts like hell, but he certainly had a big bite. And it's a dangerous bite.
disgusting tactics here by Mike Tyson. We understand 1 point has been deducted from Tyson for that vicious exhibition.
They could disqualify him, but they've taken a point, that's for sure. Oh, here comes the commissioner now. They got to figure it out.
Well, this is the doctor and the commissioner both taking a look at it.
He bit his ear. He's out. Disqualified. He bit his ear. I can see the bite mark.
He bit his ear, he's out.
Tony Mark Ratner, head of the commission.
Well, let me ask the doc. He bit his ear. Can you go on?
Yes.
Okay. It's going to be a 2-point deduction. The fight will go on. 2 point.
Mills Lane was ready to stop the fight for Holyfield.
The fight will go on.
Overruled by Flipomansky, the doctor, who said
Mills Lane is a take charge kind of guy. He's a judge.
He bit him
He'll
in the
take
ear
no
first.
nonsense.
He broke shit. It's going to cost him 2 points. 2 points. 2 points off here. He bit his ear. 2 points off. 2.
Can you believe this?
Well, this is getting stranger and stranger. We're getting to see strange things happen in boxing.
Yes, this is what the Maestro was referring to when he tweeted, "If this were a prize fight, they'd stop it." You triangulate with how many bites of the apple Holmes in his bionic ear, and bingo, we get Tyson and Holyfield. And here we have the solution, which is a tweet by POTUS on November 20th. He says, "If this were a prize fight, they'd stop it." What is the Maestro telling us by pulling Tyson into the riddle? Proving coffee for those who notice Tyson equals 93. Coincidence? Ha, here's the message. On the top left here we have the July 12th, 2019, where Acosta resigns. How many bites of the apple do you get? And a day delta 132, with unforgivable equaling 132. And since Holyfield, and the phrase "how many bites of the apple do you get," which is a clear reference to the original sin in the Garden of Eden, we get the Holy Bible. And Tyson, which equals 93, we get Colt 93. And we know from part 1, this gives us Revelation 12, verse 9, which says, "The great dragon was hurled down, the ancient serpent called the devil," or Satan, who leads the whole world astray. He was hurled to the earth, and his angels with him. But Revelation 12, verse 4 is also connected, which says, "The dragon stood in front of the woman, who was about to give birth, so that it might devour her child the moment he was born." Decoded message. By noticing Tyson equals 93, we established a connection between Tyson biting Holyfield's ear, Colt 93 in Revelation 12 verse 4, where the Bible informs us that the dragon stood in front of the woman to devour her child at the moment of birth. We deduce from this that Family Y and Colt 93 members have an inherited cannibalism from the satanic bloodlines they perpetuate. The dragon stood in front of the woman who was about to give birth. The Bible announced what we are currently witnessing, and that was described by POTUS. Democrats are aggressively pushing late-term abortion, allowing children to be ripped from their mother's womb. Right up until the moment of birth, the baby is born and you wrap the baby beautifully, and you talk to the mother about the possible execution of the baby. Do you see where this doctored picture is taking us and how powerful it is? Now question, what's the Maestro's secret to look that way in the picture? Yes, he regularly takes a physical to make sure everything is fine. A value for physical? 93. Time to investigate to figure this out. Let's watch the Maestro talk about the physical.
But I like telling these, stories that happened a little while ago. They don't have to put them in speeches and you read stuff and people fall asleep. But on Saturday, you saw what happened. The White House physician called me and said, "Sir, you're home today. If I wanted," meaning me, "I could do some of the physical." You know, in January we go for the physical. I never took physicals before. Now every year is supposed to take a physical. But it's important. It's good, right? It's good. Because January is a very busy month for you, sir. I said, "You're right. So what do you want to do?" I said, "Okay, let's go." So we went to Walter Reed Medical Center. Fantastic place, incredible doctors. And I was there for just a short while. I visited a family of a soldier being operated on, incredible family. His son was in serious condition. And I stayed with them for a little while. I toured the hospital. They took a little part of my physical so I don't have to take it in January. Very simple. And I got back into the motorcade, the car. where we have many, many cars and trucks and ambulances, unfortunately, and lots of different things, right? And we also have like a bus or whatever the hell carries these crazy people. And the press follows me wherever I go, unfortunately. You know, in the old days, I could sneak out and go someplace. Today, these people are crazy. So the press is there, everybody's there. We start, it's like a beautiful thing if you like lots of cars and lots of action. But the press is following me. So I hadn't even gotten back to the White House. And that stupid, corrupt, horrible CNN whose ratings are terrible, by the way, and others, whose rating, by the way, CNN's ratings are terrible. Oops. Look, the light just went off. Oh. The light just went off. I shouldn't do it. I shouldn't do it because we lose a small audience when that happens. No, but they reported, so here I am. So I'm there for a very routine, little, simple, physical. And by the way, if there's something wrong, I got to tell you, I want to tell you about it because it's very big stuff. But I was there just to save a little time in January. I feel great. Hey, let me tell you, if I didn't feel great, I wouldn't be ranting and raving to 22,000 people with lots of people outside. I can tell you. So I get back in, and now it's a short drive. We arrive at the White House. And I heard that they said, it came out in the media, including some of the very, very dishonest people that are here tonight. Look at that. It's like the Academy Awards used to be. Used to be. You know, the Academy Awards was big until they started hitting us. Now they've gone down the tubes. But it's like the Academy Awards used to be. Look at all those lights back there. But I'm getting out of the car. And somebody said, "Sir, are you okay?" I said, "Yeah, what's that all about?" I go a few feet further and another security, "Sir, are you okay, sir?" I said, "Yeah, I'm fine. What's going on?" Nobody's ever asked me that. You know, normally I walk, these are the greatest people, the military, the Secret Service, they're the greatest people, right? But they don't ever say, "Sir, are you okay?" And I could see he was like troubled. He likes me, you know. Then I walk another few feet. "Sir, I hope you're okay, sir." I said, "What the hell's going on?" And then they said I had a massive heart attack. Nothing to joke about, but they said I had a massive heart attack. I had a heart attack. And it wasn't true. They knew it wasn't true. They were with me. If you've had a heart attack, you don't leave the hospital shortly after you get there. You stay in the hospital for a little while, like about 6 weeks, maybe. So we had the people call. Doesn't mean anything, because they're totally corrupt people. And they said it's untrue. So they brought it down from a massive, unbelievable heart attack. You know, it's very dangerous for them to do, because the world, believe it or not, the rest of the world and the leaders like and respect your president. We don't want to hear this, and I like them. It's very sad. So then instead they brought it down a notch. They said, he went into the hospital, and it's true, I didn't wear a tie. Why would I wear a tie if the first thing they do is say, "Take off your shirt, sir, and show us that gorgeous chest"? We want to see it. We've never seen a chest quite like it. No, but seriously, why would I put on? I mean, I put the tie on and then we're there in 20 minutes. I take it off for the physical. But they said he wasn't wearing a tie, which is pretty unusual for me, honestly. I should have worn the tie. Maybe it's not their fault. But we never apologize. But they said he wasn't wearing a tie. This is a sign of a massive heart attack. But we called up, and our people did a good job screaming, he's fine, there was nothing happened. They didn't believe it. They brought it down to tremendous chest pains. He had chest pains. One of them said they were tremendous. Oh, tremendous. The only one that didn't know it was me. I'm the only one.
Did you solve his insistence on the tie? When the maestro mentioned the tie in addition to the doctored picture tweet and to the physical, the C_A fake news went crazy. Look how the fake news Washington Post, fake Serenity in their tweet but insist on the tie by quoting the maestro verbatim in the linked article. And here we have the tweet. Trump tweets doctored photo of his head on Sylvester Stallone's body. Unclear why. As you can see, the Washington Post got triggered. Total panic. Enjoy. So here highlighted in red, we take all the capital letters which equal 113, and we also bring in the 16 from November 16th. This gives us 11,316. If we isolate the 3 from this number and add the 3 ones in the 6, we get 93. Physical equals 93, and we also get triggered, which is 93, and also the title of Don Jr.'s book, Decoded Message. By releasing the doctored picture with code 93, the maestro triggered their network. Do you now see what Don Jr.'s book title really means? The C_A decoders at the Washington Post know very well what the maestro is talking about and hit the right keywords from his speech in his latest rally in Sunrise, Florida. They caught the reference to Walter Reed was connected to 93 through physical and through the capital letters with the November 16th date. They send a message to the network by coding 93 in the vertical capital letter count, which gives us the underlining message, guys, we have a problem. POTUS is working on Cult 93, and he mentioned the tie from Florida. What is this tie about? Can you solve? So you want to know about the tie? The maestro gave you a hint right here when asked about Colonel Vindman's Congress testimony. Let's watch.
Thank you, Fred.
I don't know him. I don't know, as he says, Lieutenant Colonel, I understand somebody had the misfortune of calling him Mr. and he corrected them. I never saw the man. I understand now he wears his uniform when he goes in. No, I don't know Vindman at all. What I do know is that even he said that the transcript was correct. And if anybody reads the transcripts, I had 2 calls with the president of Ukraine, who, by the way, said there was no pressure whatsoever. There was no anything. They probably think they probably can't even understand what's going on with this country. But Vindman, I watched him for a little while this morning, and I think I'm going to let people make their own determination. But I don't know Vindman. I never heard of him. I don't know any of these people, other than I have seen 1 or 2 a couple of times. They're ambassadors. But these are names that are like Taylor, like Kent with a nice bow tie, wonderful bow tie. Maybe I'll get one for myself someday. I don't know who Kent is. I don't know who Taylor is. All these people are talking about, they heard a conversation of another conversation that was had by the president. What's going on is a disgrace, and it's an embarrassment to our nation. And in the meantime, we can't get USMCA approved because Nancy Pelosi is grossly incompetent. She is incompetent, and you're about to find that out. Thank you all very much. Mr. President.
Did you catch it? He first called it Vinderman, and later seamlessly corrected it, comms territory. Here's the solution. So here on the top left, we have a tweet by Josh Billinson. He says, George Kent is wearing the same bow tie at today's hearing and in his State Department headshot, leading me to believe that this is his favorite bow tie. Now remember from the Quartz article, one of the vertical capital letter counts we got was 192, which also gives us 93. Well, wonderful bow tie also equals 192. If we go over to the top middle here, we have the 93-day delta between Q, 3570, and Q, 3574, and rig for red, which equals 100. Vinderman also equals 100. And we get Vindman, the fraud. Vindman goes to work dressed as a civilian. He views his transcript in Capitol Hill, dressed as a civilian. meets foreign leaders dressed as a civilian, and testifies against POTUS in military uniform. Decoded message. Kent shows up in Congress with the bow tie he wears in his official State Department headshot. He's sending the signal to the C_A network that he's controlled by his hierarchy and can't deliver his part of the script. By mentioning his bow tie, the maestro connects him to the extremely toxic Quartz article and to the 93 network. The maestro calls Vinderman to connect him to rig for Red and Q 3574, which is posted the day Q returns after going dark for 93 days. Vindman was a 93 submarine planted in the White House. The 93 network challenged POTUS to a submarine battle that they lost at the very beginning when a skiff submarine piloted by Hussein was detected. By Vindman, by Kent. Do you now see why Cult 93 has a problem sending impeachment to the Senate? The maestro confirming my earlier decode about wanting a trial where their crimes would become public is one problem. The other is that his comms showed that he had it all about their witnesses. They're neutralized. They can't function anymore. The maestro summarizes this reality with the question, where is the whistleblower? To explain Nervous Nancy's apparent irrationality on the impeachment process, we first need to see that because the maestro is 12 moves ahead, they failed to secure the leverage they thought they needed to force him into negotiations about their crimes. Second, we need to remember these people are Satanists. Q3. Many in our government worship Satan. Most of the things they do are based on rituals, satanic calendars, etc. Did you notice that the impeachment vote occurred exactly 1,063 days after Trump's inauguration ceremony? This is called 93 asking for help to the immortal Queen, which equals 163, in their fight against the maestro. If you think it's just a coincidence, wait until you see how it's connected to the Washington Post article calling for impeachment 19 minutes after POTUS was sworn in. Have you ever wondered why 19 minutes? Here's the answer. It has to praise Cult 93. So here we have the inauguration of President Trump at 12 p.m. with the Washington Post article to impeach Trump, which is 19 minutes after his inauguration. Now for us to get 93 out of 19, we go up the solution 9 times 2, which equals 18, and plus 1, which will give us 19. But instead, if we just have the 9 and we do the 2 plus 1, that'll give us 9 and 3, which gives us our 93. Now let's go down to the impeachment vote, which is on December 18th, 2019, which gives us 12, 18, and 2019. Now if the 12, you add the 1 to the 2, which gives us 3, and the 18, you add the 1 to the 8, which gives us 9, and with the 2019, you add 2 to the 1, which gives us 39, which leaves us with 39 and 39. With the repetition rule, we get rid of one of the 3s and one of the 9s, leaving us with 39, and using the mirror rule, we get 93. Now what about the 1,063 days? Well, that is 34 months and 29 days. We can get 93 out of this by isolating the 9, and doing 4 plus 2 minus 3, giving us 93. Also, Immortal Queen equals 163. Now moving over to the right, we have 20 paragraphs in this article, and if we take the capital letter at the beginning of each paragraph and add them together, we get 298. 298 is also the value for facilitate reckless endangerment. And if we do 2 plus 9 plus 8, we get 19. And we know from earlier we can get 93 from 19. And going down one, if we take all the numbers in the date of the article and add them together, we get 25, pulling in family Y. And going down one with the title of the article, we get T, T, and P, which gives us 20, 20, and 16. We throw out the zeros and we are left with 2, 2, 1, 6. And we do 2 plus 1 plus 6, giving us 9. But that only leaves us with 92. So where is the missing 1? Well, it's hidden in the date caps, which leaves us with J, PM, and EST. And we do 1 plus 1 plus 6 plus 1, minus 3 plus 5 plus 1, minus 9 and minus 2, giving us our missing 1. We also get Nazi methods, and Hitler, which equals 72. Decoded message. In addition to Nazi references confirmed by later events like Shifty's basement, or an accusation of a crime without a victim, the Washington Post article calling for POTUS impeachment 19 minutes after he was sworn in has 93 and Y written all over it. Dems also coded 93 in the date they picked for impeachment, and in a time separating it from Inauguration Day. The Dems priests also gave a shout out to their immortal Queen with the 1,063-day delta, hoping this will add some more power to their impeachment effort and related cannibalistic operations. Well, sorry, not gonna work. Don't you get it? Satan has already left the battlefield. That's what he does. For all these reasons, the maestro asked on the day of impeachment to say a prayer. Enjoy how he connected it to the Washington Post 19-minute impeachment article through the Q board. On the top left here we have the tweet by POTUS. All the capital letters equal 470. There's also 39 capital letters, which, as you know, gives us 93. And you say it best when you say nothing at all equals 470. Now prayer, which is in all caps, equals 83. Follow equals 83. And I did nothing wrong, which is also in all caps, equals 209. Crossfire hurricane equals 209. And the crossfire hurricane is also confirmed by the 83 above, as C equals 3 and H equals 8. Now the timestamp of that tweet is 7:34, which gives us Q 7:34. Q says, "What a coincidence. This board has more power and influence than anyone comprehends." And he links us to a Washington Post article. Experimental drug promises to kill the flu virus in a day. The numbers in the date of that article also equal 19, which brings us around to the 19-minute impeachment article. Decoded message. By asking to say a prayer, the maestro reveals the massive demonic activity surrounding the Cult 93 impeachment effort. Then, by using 39 capital letters, the mirror of 93, he hints that with divine assistance and the power of our prayers, the things they do are not only fruitless, but will continue to backfire. The Cult 93 virus that has infected our government and society is being eradicated despite their 19-minute Washington Post rallying cry on Inauguration Day. Take a front row seat and follow how their crossfire hurricane operation is systematically deconstructed in a way it leads to inevitable indictments. Q 1888. You all get to go to jail. Q.